If you want to know how you get your shirt looking like this to this is the video for you. Because by the end of this video, we'll be showing you exactly how to remove smeared names, smeared sponsors, DTF sponsors from your shirts, how to avoid them, and a whole load of other stuff. So stick with us and watch this video. And if this sounds like the sort of video that you like, please remember to click like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification icon to make sure you don't miss out on any of our future releases. And check back at all our other videos as well, because there's loads of useful information there. Hello there, and welcome back to our channel. In this week's video, I'm going to be taking you through how we fix damaged DTF like this. Without a doubt, it's the most common source of questions that we get from people across our social media platforms, where they've either started taking a name set off or a sponsor off and it's got damaged, or they've received a shirt like this, or they've stored it incorrectly and this damage has happened. So in this video, we're going to be showing you how to fix this. But as with anything, when you're trying to fix something, you kind of need to understand what it is you're fixing first. So the thing that I think people maybe struggle with a little bit is understanding whether it's DTF or vinyl. Now, this is DTF, and you can tell it's DTF because the layers of paint on it have kind of come off. If this were vinyl, vinyl is a single layer of vinyl, as the name suggests. There's no paint to vinyl because the sponsor itself isn't paint, it's literally the material. So what you'll see with vinyl is it might crack or it might chip away, but what you won't see with vinyl is this kind of black underlay or this paint smearing. This is very typical of DTF, because what DTF is layers of paint that are sprayed or printed onto a see-through film, and then the back of it is either a dark glue or a normal adhesive that is then used to attach to the sponsor to the shirt. And what you're seeing here when you see this black stuff is that's actually the black adhesive. And it's black because it's used to prevent the colour of the shirt coming through the sponsor. It acts as like a blocker. But what that means is that sometimes when you're doing removals like this, you'll get a nasty black kind of outline or smudging across it. So that's why it's absolutely key that you follow all the steps in this video to make sure you minimise or ideally avoid getting things like this happen. Now, if you've got to this video hoping to see how to do a vinyl removal, you're in the wrong place. But don't you worry, because up there is a link to our vinyl removal video. And as I always kind of say, prevention is the best kind of cure. So if you can stop things like this happening, you don't have to address the damage after it's happened. And things like this will happen for a couple of reasons. One, you've washed it too warm, or it's sat in moisture for too long and it's caused the paint to kind of smear and dissolve and start rubbing around the shirt. So up here is our video on how to wash your shirt and how to avoid washing mistakes. Now, what also causes this to happen is shirts being stored incorrectly. They may be hung out in a humid environment and the steam and the heat melts the paint. Or they may have been folded up, put away nicely, but in plastic and not breathable, things like that. So you want to avoid that. And if you want, we've got a video that tells you exactly how to store shirts to avoid things like this happening. And a link to that video is up there. Now, what you can't see from this is it's actually really quite sticky. Look, you can see there's, I don't know, what is that? Some sort of food. You've got hairs attached to it and what have you. And that can happen, but without leaving lasting damage. If you have a sponsor that has just become tactile, a bit sticky to touch, but isn't damaged, you're not too late to save it. All you've got to do is apply a layer of lacquer to it and it will protect it. And up there is a link to the video where we show you exactly how to apply the lacquer and preserve the sponsor as it is. But if you're at the stage like this shirt where it kind of needs to all come off and a new one put back on, this is where you're going to want to carry on watching, because we're going to take you through all of the steps. So come with me over to the other side and we'll start it. So here we are over on the bench. Now what we need is kitchen roll, Pyrex, light box, scraper, spot salve, DTF remover, an abundance of cotton pads, something to put your rubbish in, cow syringe, microfiber cloth, and we might need some acetone, but it all depends how it goes with this. We also need this board because for this shirt, especially this shirt, but as a good practice for all shirts, you need to keep the side that you're working on, this side, separate from the other side, the back side of the shirt, or the front side if you're working on the back. This one has a vinyl name set on that we definitely don't want to damage, but even if it was plain, we wouldn't want any of the residue or sort of results of the removal of this coming through onto the back of that. So what we're going to need to make sure we do, always do this, is use a board, ideally non-treated. This is like a weatherproofed but sort of finished board that I slide the shirt into to make sure the front stays separate from the back. So what we're going to do first is we're going to try and use the DTF remover on just a corner of this to see whether or not it will come off. Because sometimes when this has got sticky, it's just become paint, and therefore DTF remover will kind of exacerbate things and just melt it all and turn it into a nasty mess. Ideally, what we want is for as much of this to come off in its kind of solid state rather than as a gooey kind of sticky mess. So we're going to try a little bit of DTF remover just on a corner and see if it comes away nicely. I suspect for bits like this, it's probably going to struggle. So we're probably going to have to go to from the bottom up process using DTF remover to the top down process starting with acetone. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So let's turn on the light box and we're going to lay the shirt over it. And then you can see the corner of the C of Carlsberg. We're going to draw a little bit of DTF remover into the cowpole syringe. Here we go. Always put the lid straight back on the DTF remover. And we're just going to dab a little bit on and see how it goes. It's a hot day and this stuff evaporates very quickly at the best of times. So let's move quickly. Now, it's not coming away, certainly not coming away in a single piece. So I suspect it's probably a little bit liquefied, if you like. Let's apply a little bit more. See how we go. I mean, look, you can see it's already left a little bit on the Pyrex. Now, this doesn't look like it's coming away in a single piece. Let's pull it over the board and see how it comes off. I mean, it is coming off, so we're probably going to stick with this for a bit and then go back over. Let's wipe that on there. So look, you see this black here. This black is the black adhesive that's used to stop the material colour coming through what is a white sponsor. So you can see there that it's not looking too bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the DTF as much as possible to go round and remove as much of the white as possible. Like I say, it's just going to be DTF to the back of it, pull it around, use the scraper to pull the bits up and see how we get on. So here we are, we've done a first round, and as you can see, the vast majority of the white is off of the Carlsberg, but there's still a fair bit of work to do here. You can see, I mean, look, this is the kitchen roll that I've been wiping the scraper off on. Here's the debris, full of black glue and nastiness. But this is a good place to be after stage one. What we need to do now is redo the whole process again. So we're going to lay this back over the board with our cowpole syringe. We're going to go back, go round, and we want to get to a point where all or as much of the black and all of the white is off. So something to bear in mind is that you should never apply a solvent directly to the front of the shirt while there's still any sort of colour, or in this case, white. Because what that will do is that will start smearing the paint into the material. So we've applied the DTF remover to the back, and we're gonna go back round and carry on scraping. You can see it's coming off on there. But what you're going to want to do as well is, if you're scraping in this direction, you're going to get an accumulation of stuff along this bottom edge. So at each point, use a cotton pad and just mop it up or wipe it away. Otherwise you'll get nasty dark marks down here. So I'm going to follow this process through. So DTF remover to the back over on the light box, and then scraping away again. And then I'll come back to you ready for the next stage. Right, so we've done the next round of it, and now we're pretty much getting there where we need to stop using a scraper and turn our attention to using cotton pads. So for this last bit with the DTF remover, we're going to apply DTF remover to the back, and then we're going to use the cotton pads on the front just to get the last bit of residue and adhesive up. So let's put it back over the light box and then apply the DTF remover. I can see the stains from the previous stuff drying. So if you're struggling to see it, look for the smear marks or the solvent marks from the previous applications. And then we're going to lay it out on the board. And with the cotton pad, we're just gonna start going back over with that. And look, you'll see it's coming up nicely. Swap it around, get a clean part of the cotton pad, because you don't want to be smearing the paint back into the shirt. There you go. This is why it's really important to use the scraper for as long as possible, because the scraper doesn't really smear the adhesive or the residue into the shirt, whereas the cotton pads will if you use them too soon in the process. If there's still a whole load of adhesive and paint on there and you start using the cotton pad, it's just going to push it into the material, which is going to make nasty marks and probably ruin your shirt. So there we go, we've done the C. I'm going to go back round, do that same process for the whole of it, and then we're approaching the finish. So stick with us to show you how good this is going to look. What we're seeing over the last few weeks and months is the number of messages we're getting on social media ramping up, going through the roof. And what that means is it takes us even longer to be able to respond to them. So if you've got a burning question you need a quick answer to, check out our AI-powered Kit GPT bot. There's a link to it down in the description. And if I know how to do it, Kit GPT knows how to do it. So give it a try. So all of the sponsor is gone. We've got these nasty smear marks and we've got spot solve that will get rid of them. And we did the other video a couple of weeks ago about alternatives to spot solve. So that video will be up there somewhere for people that can't get spot solve where they are. But now what we need to do is get rid of the bits where the paint has smeared onto the rest of the shirt. Now you can try it with DTF remover, but I found that it's not ideal. What I think works best for paint smears like this is acetone. It's pretty much one of the only things I would use acetone for when I'm restoring football shirts. I wouldn't use it for name set removal and what have you, but it is pretty good for getting rid of little paint smears. So I'm going to put some on, but what you've got to be careful of, let's pull that down so you can see. What you've got to be careful of with acetone is it's very strong and it can take the colour out of the material. So don't use too much. Just dab a bit on a cotton pad, let it sit on the stain for a bit, and then with that cotton pad, just wipe away. Not too hard, don't just go like this, just let the solvent do its job, and then have the cotton pad do the rest, like mop it up and just take away that last bit of stain. So there was a stain here, and you can see it's pretty much going. Now, as always, for every single type of solvent, make sure you're in an area where you've got good ventilation, not too closed in, because it can be a little bit noxious if you breathe it in. So just wear a face mask if you want, but definitely have some ventilation. Now, there was a paint stain there, and that's gone. What you can see is we've got paint stains there, 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 there. So I'm going to go round with the acetone and cotton pads, getting rid of those stains before we then start putting it in the wash. So, shirt's looking good now. Carlsberg is off. We've got these nasty smear marks, and we're going to use some spot solve to get rid of them. All the paint marks that were dotted around, they've now come off because we used the acetone. What we're going to do is we're going to bung the spot solve on, pull it in the wash on a 30, and then we'll go on to press the new Carlsberg. And here's the shirt, ready out of the wash. Nice and clean. Look at that removal. There is no residue, no marks, no nothing. This is now ready to have a fresh Carlsberg pressed on top. And actually what had happened is the climacal at the bottom of the shirt, where is it, down here, had also started smearing. So we've created a new climacal ready to press on as well. And if you want a new climacal, drop us a comment below or send us a DM. I've just made a batch of them so we can sort you out a set. But what I'm going to do now is I am going to put this on the heat press, get the Carlsberg pressed on, and show you the end results. And here you have it, the finished shirt. Look at that, a nice fresh new Carlsberg on, no residue, no nothing. Name set on the back, original name set, undamaged, untouched because of using the board in between. And we even put on a new climacal there because that has started to smear. So what did we do? We started with the DTF remover on the back of the damaged, smeared Carlsberg, took it off with the scraper, did 2 rounds with that until we got to a point where the vast majority of the adhesive and everything is off. Then we reapplied DTF remover to the back, but used the cotton pads just to rub the front to get rid of 90% of the residue that was there. And then we had the smeared bits of paint that were dotted around the shirt from where the original Carlsberg had smeared its paint, and we used acetone on cotton pads, dabbing it on, wiping it off. Don't push too hard with the cotton pad because that will push it into the material. And then with the stains that you're left, the kind of smear marks around the outside, we use spot solve, spray it on relatively conservatively, use a cotton pad after 2-3 minutes to just mop it away, bung it in the wash on a 30. You had to be careful that this didn't get damaged. I didn't know whether by washing it this might get damaged, but luckily it's held up. And here we go. We've pressed the new Carlsberg on. We got the precise size by following our steps of taking a photo with and putting a ruler in shot. And maybe drop us a comment below if you want me to do a video on how to make exact sized sponsors, because there is an knack to it, and we've done a slight video, but I wonder whether there's one I can go into a little bit more depth on. But so we've done that, we've put a new one of those on, and now I am very happy with that shirt. So if you've enjoyed this video, and I really hope you have, please remember to click like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification down below so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. And if you have enjoyed this video, you're going to love these two. See you next time.